Happy New Year's, everybody. It's time for a special New Year's review. For the last two New Year's, I've done New Year's Evil, which I'm wearing the shirt for, and Terror Train. So if you're curious on why I'm not reviewing those, because I already did, check them out. Although, I should do a more updated review for those movies because I have gone up on those since. I was not as high on those movies the first time I watched them, but the second time I watched them, for my 1980 ranking, I actually enjoyed them way more. Maybe it's because I knew what to expect. Sometimes that happens. You watch a movie twice and you like it more the second time. But this year we're going to talk about Ghostkeeper. This is a 1981. I'm not sure what genre to put it in. Is it a slasher, monster? It has something to do with a Wendigo, which is like a Native American folklore monster, right? I don't know my folklore that well in monsters, but a Wendigo movie slash crazy family slash slasher ish movie. It's all kinds of things, but it's not a good movie. Let me tell you that right now. I did not like this movie. Maybe on a second watch, I'll like it more, like Terror Train and New Year's Evil, but I doubt it. This is not one that I will revisit more than likely. Like, this was a snooze fest. This one almost put me to sleep. So let's talk about it. All right. So this movie tells a story about three young adults going to this lodge, and on their way back from a store, there's a blizzard coming, so they had to go camp out for the night at this old abandoned hotel that's been sitting there for 5 years collecting dust. And while they're there, waiting for the storm to pass, they find out they're not the only ones lurking the halls there. There's some evil lurking there. Typical stuff here. All right, so this movie, the good things that I can say about it, the things that I liked, really is just the music. I like the score overall. It's done by Paul Zaza. Zaza? Z-A-Z-A? How would you say that? Zaza. He did the score for all the prom night movies. He did Curtains. He did My Bloody Valentine. He's a Canadian songwriter and composer. So it makes sense that he's working on this film too, because this is a Canadian film as well. And I just really like the music overall. It really helps intensify scenes, and I thought it was well crafted and put together. I like the cold, isolated, setting. They're just stuck in the hotels, kind of like The Shining almost. I wonder if this was inspired by Kubrick's The Shining the year prior. Putting these characters, only three characters, just like The Shining, and in a hotel trapped in because of the snow. It's always a good, you know, atmospheric setting. It feels very cold throughout the whole film. So outside of the music and the setting, the isolation, and some of the atmosphere of it, I didn't care for anything else in this movie. So the rest is just negatives for me. This movie drags and drags and drags. It's also just a god awful, horrid transfer that I watched. I mean, there's a Blu-ray out there, but that's not what they used on Amazon Prime. This is on Prime. You can watch it for free. I don't recommend doing so, but I hope this isn't what the Blu-ray looks like, because the audio is even worse than the visuals. The audio is like snapping, crackling, popping throughout the entire flick. It was making my ears bleed. And then the movie just looks absolutely awful. And I just really didn't give a shit about these characters. They try to build some tension between them. There's a jealousy thing going on between the main couple and this other chick. They're constantly giving each other dirty looks, like, I know what you're thinking. You're trying to get with my boyfriend. Like, there's some drama there, but it's not really interesting to me. It doesn't do anything for me, really. And the acting from the main character here, Jenny, I thought was pretty wooden at times. Like, when they're arguing, she's just not emotional as much as she should be. There's just not much emotion from her. And yeah, she was just the weakest performance to me out of the bunch. And this isn't a horror movie to watch for its kills and gore, because there is no gore, and there is hardly any kills on screen. It's all lackluster shit. Very underwhelming. And the story by the end of it is kind of convoluted. Doesn't really make much sense. Like, there's a Wendigo, but not really. Like, there's just a cannibalistic zombie looking dude, and that's a Wendigo. That's not what I saw in that video game Until Dawn. What do Wendigos look like? This guy looked like a human in a freezer, not a Wendigo. But maybe that's what they look like, and I don't know. But from what I've seen from other material, That's not what a Wendigo looks like, and it's just very not explored either. This Wendigo and what they're doing, like there's this power they speak of, and by the end of it, you're like, what was the power? What was that? And there's just some things that it felt unexplored and just very convoluted. I was just like scratching my head, like, what the hell just happened? So maybe it was just because I wasn't paying that much attention because I was bored. So yeah, final thoughts. Very boring film. Characters that I just don't care for. They're not engaging. They're not interesting. It's just, basic drama stuff that's thrown in here just to keep things a little interesting. But didn't work for me. The kills are nothing to see here. And the story is just very blah. So when it comes to Ghostkeeper, stay away from this one because it's just wasted time. So this movie opens up with a Wendigo quote, and there's never really a Wendigo in the movie. So unless you count that cannibal in the freezer, and of course we get the little trope here where they see the sign that says, stay away, don't go down this road, keep out, private property, and they're like, whatever, and they just drive right by it. So they're taking a wrong turn. This is almost like Wrong Turn 4 meets See No Evil, because you got the crazy old lady with the crazier son killing people. And yeah, they get to the hotel. It's been empty for 5 years, and we get an automatic cat scare. Just a random cat that jumps out the door meowing. Cat scares. And so we get this weird story from the blonde chick, Chrissy, where she's like, when I was 16, I wanted to be a hooker, and I got my teacher to bang me in his car twice for $40. That was the only dialogue in the whole movie that was interesting to me. And that's why I wrote it down. And then we meet this old lady who attacks Marty in the kitchen. And even though she attacked him and bit him, supposedly, he's like not pissed off. He's not scared anymore. He like gets up, realizes how old she is, and he's like, oh, it's just an old lady. Whatever. Let's just ask her what she's doing here. Like, he's so calm after that. It's like bullshit. Like, this lady just assaulted you, bit you, and now you're like, oh, it's just an old lady. Whatever. She couldn't hurt me. Even though she just tackled my ass to the ground. She seemed to be holding her own against you. It's just so dumb. And what is up with these chicks in horror movies that just always want to go randomly run off and take a bath? Like, they have to bathe every single night. It's like, you can't just wait till the next day when you get back to your own lodge. She has to set up all these candles and take a bath in this creepy old, hotel, and then she gets drowned, dragged to this, meat locker, gets her throat slit, and then fed to the Wendigo, I guess, if that's a Wendigo. And so then, after that, the next day, they wake up, their ski-doos are gone. One of them's gone, and the other one is broken. They pulled the spark plug. So then Jenny, she drinks tea, that's drugged, she passes out, wakes up in the room in the basement, and she's not tied up, and she's not locked anywhere. Like, she can just open the door and walk right out. And that's what she does. But before that, she reads this book and sees, like, newspaper clippings, all that, generic stuff that you always see. Bodies buried, blah, blah, blah. Carnage at the local hotel, something like that. And then she reads this book, and it says something about, a woman taking care of a Wendigo and a power being passed down from generation to generation or from woman to woman. As long as you're taking care of the Wendigo, you'll have a power. Is that what it says? Someone want to help me out here? Like, what was the power? It didn't make sense to me. And by the end of the movie, it's never explored. Like, what are they doing with this Wendigo in the freezer? Are they feeding him? I mean, this place has been abandoned for 5 years. There's not going to be a lot of food. I mean, there's like dead deer in the shed. So like, you can feed the Wendigo anything, like deer, animals, humans. What's the point? What's the power that they get? Is there a power? Like, I don't understand what's going on here, but nor do I care. So then, like, she gets chased up to the roof, and, the guy has a chainsaw. It's like almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre scene with Sally. Like, she's being chased by the chainsaw maniac, but then he, like, drops the chainsaw and continues to chase her with no weapon up to the roof, and then she pushes his ass off the roof, and he lands on, like, a spiked fence. which that's the best kill in the movie. And then she tells her boyfriend what just happened, and he like snaps. Is he just snapped? Like this guy who went to college and became a lawyer? He said he was a lawyer. This guy just snapped all of a sudden. Like the way he's acting, he's being really aggressive with her. And even though he's being really strange and acting a little loco, she just doesn't seem all that scared. And she just goes, "Oh, why don't you go grab a shotgun? I found a shotgun in the closet, and I want your crazy ass to go get it and hopefully not blow my head off with it." It's like, why don't you go get the shotgun yourself? She does, but it's like, if you know where it's at, you should go get it. You should trust yourself more than this crazy son of a bitch who's being really weird. But yeah, what the hell's going on with the boyfriend Marty? Is he possessed? How, if he is? And if not, why the hell is he snapping? Like, nothing crazy has happened in front of his eyes. Like, he just saw a dead body on a spiked fence and a snowmobile that's broken. Like, he's snapping pretty quick. This is the next day. How is he already losing it? And he was giving her shit earlier, like, you know, you're probably going to snap like your mother did. And then we find out that this old lady at the hotel could be her mother. Now, she says that she's her mother, but is that true? Is she just trying to manipulate her? Like, trying to, you know, buy time? They confuse her so she can stab her? I don't know what's going on. Like, is she really her mom? I mean, she knew her name. When she got there originally, she whispered her name, and she couldn't have known her name. But how could she not recognize her if that's her mom? When did her mom die? When she was like 3? And how could you not recognize your own mother? Unless she died when you're way too young or something. And so yeah, like, she has like her hand behind her back for like a good 3 minutes while they're walking down the hall. You know, like, she's hiding something. You should blast her away. But yeah, she does. She shoots her mom, and then because she killed her mom, if that is her mom, now she is her mom. Like, she snapped. Now she's like her mom, crazy. And her mom's voice is in her head, and she finds her boyfriend's dead body frozen up against a tree. So it's kind of like, again, The Shining. There's some similarities here to The Shining. So yeah, her boyfriend's frozen to death, and she's speaking in third person. She hears her mom's, if it's her mom's voice in her head, and then she talks to the Wendigo, and she's like, "I'll take care of you." Why? Like, what about her friends? They're waiting for her at the lodge. Are they ever going to come by? And what was with that random scene with a store owner? There's a store owner who we saw in the beginning of the film who just randomly walks up to this hotel that he warned them not to go up to, you know. Was he there to save them? It didn't seem like it. It just seemed like he was randomly stopping by, like, "Hello, is anyone here?" And then he dies in this awfully put together scene where, like, the way it's edited, it's very poorly done. It's almost like they're trying to pay homage to Dick Halloran in The Shining. You know, just some random guy going to the hotel to immediately get picked off. I'm starting to believe more and more that this movie was made just because of The Shining. The setting, all these little things, these subtle things that you could, you know, point to as similarities to The Shining. I feel like this was inspired heavily. But nowhere near as good. It's not as stylistic. You know, the acting, not anywhere near as good as, you know, Jack Nicholson's performance. This is just boring. Yeah, that's really the end of the movie. Shoots mom, talks in third person. Now she's the new crazy lady. She's going to take care of the Wendigo and get this power. If there is a power, what's the power? I don't get it. So yeah, fuck this movie. Never watching again. Those are my thoughts on Ghostkeeper. What are your thoughts on Ghostkeeper? Put all your thoughts of this movie in the comments below. Explain it to me. I'm sure I probably missed something. Let me know. Explain it all you want. Just don't be a dick about it. Alright? And as always, if you like what you see, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Happy New Year's.